afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June meeting of the Paulding Planning Commission. This time, I would ask if you have an audible device, please turn it off or to silent so it doesn't interrupt the proceedings. We are going to dispense with rules for participating in a public meeting. If you would like to pick up a copy, they're available on the back table, maybe out in the lobby, but I think they're on the back table there. You're welcome to have a copy. At this time, I'm going to entertain a motion regarding the minutes from the previous session of this body. I have a motion to approve from Mr. Henson.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Leggett. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0 and 1. We have one application that was administratively forward. That is application 2021-13-Z. Is that going to be for the next meeting? Do you have to announce that, Chris?
That would be on July the 27th meeting.
Again, the Paulding County Planning Commission is a recommending body. We serve both the Paulding County Board of Commissioners and also the City of Hiram. The application before us today is within Paulding County's jurisdiction. Therefore, any recommendation will be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. Applicant must be present for it to be considered. Anybody that may have an interest should also be there. When we begin the process here, we will have the applicant come up and introduce the application. We have 15 minutes to present. You may use all of that time or conserve some of it for rebuttal. Anybody wishing to speak on behalf of that application also falls under that same 15 minutes shared among them. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition or may have questions, comments, or concerns, we'll have 15 minutes allotted to them. Again, that's an accrued time, so you must share it if you have multiple people wishing to speak. Any questions from the applicant? All conversation from the applicant needs to be directed to the chair, and anybody standing at the podium, same thing. Any questions from the Planning Commission or the Board of Commissioners to the applicant or anyone that's presenting at the lectern does not count against their time. So at this time, I would ask Mr. Robinson, if there's any announcements I've forgotten, please do so. Otherwise, introduce the application, please.
Okay, good afternoon. First application, only application, 2021-14Z, application by Lead Engineering, requesting to rezone 53.23 acres from R2 suburban residential to R55 active adult residential to build 119 lots to serve the housing needs of senior residents. Property is located in land lot 769, District 3, Section 3. It's located on the east side of Seven Hills Boulevard. It's north of the Gulledge Road, Seven Hills Boulevard intersection. It's in Commission Post 4. Staff recommends approval with 8 printed stipulations. We've had no opposition noted on this application, and the applicant is present.
Is the applicant here then? Come on around. Again, if you would sign in, state your name and address your comments to the chair.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission, Board of Commissioners, staff, and public. My name's Jonathan Jones, and I'm with Elite Engineering. I represent Crawford Creek Communities for the proposed rezoning of 52.23 acres. This property, to get you familiar where it's at, if you're at the three-way intersection of Gulledge, and I guess Seven Hills, and you're heading towards the Seven Hills Boulevard, Cedar Crest Road, down Seven Hills Boulevard, it will be the land that used to be the Jones land, or is the Jones land, on the east side, and it does include the power line and a small portion of the property just north of the property line, the power line that abuts part of Seven Hills. The proposed development is 119 units, which is a density of 2.23 units per acre. Which is significantly less than the 4 units per acre that's allowed under the zoning category. Something else that's worth noting is this property is required to have approximately 5.22 acres of open space, but we're providing 22.71 acres of open space. 43% of this property will be reserved in an open space capacity, which is over 400% more than is required by zoning. It is in conformance with the future land use map. Staff has recommended approval. My client has reviewed the zoning stipulation and is in agreement with those. And it should be noted that in my opinion, that this zoning is designed for the minimum impact to the schools and to the roads and to the water and to the sewer and to the police and, quite honestly, most of the facilities in the county. That's what it's designed for. That's what this intended product is to be. They will be single-family homes. They will not be attached. And these people have done this all over the state of Georgia. They have a large development called Crawford Creek out in Augusta. There was over 800 units, and they were very successful with many different varieties of this particular product. They also built in Sun City, down in Peachtree City. They built a pod down there under the Pulte envelope. So they're familiar with the 55 and older. They build a pretty high quality product compared to a lot of the 55 and older product. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys may have or use my time if necessary for rebuttal.
Mr. Jones, you're familiar with the 8 stipulations that the staff is recommending,
Yes.
and you're agreeable to those, or your client is?
They've reviewed it and they're amenable to them.
And just a point of curiosity, and it probably just on my part, the 22% of open space, green space.
Yes, sir.
That you're talking about, is that directly relational to the number of streams running through the property?
So through this property, there's actually only one stream coming through the property.
Okay.
There is a stream that is on the backside of the property, but it's not physically on this property. Topography is one of the factors. There is a 50-foot, what's the term, Chris? It's a 50-foot buffer along Seven Hills. That is a large, because this thing has a lot of road frontage, so there'll be a 50-foot buffer all the way along through there, which that's a lot of acreage.
Sure it is.
And then I'll take that back. It does have another small stream to the north. That is just a little finger that goes actually into the Seven Hills development.
Okay.
But it truly is because of the open space. I mean, the buffer that's required, the small stream, the large stream, and the topography is probably bulk of it.
I was just curious about
Yeah.
why the amount of open space, but looking at the map provided, I seem to see little fingers of streams through there, so I was curious if that
Yeah.
was the main reason.
That's right.
But it's good to hear anyway. Any other questions to the applicant from the planning commission?
Is this project gonna be a mass graded project because of all of the hills and topo?
Yes, sir. So the part that's on the west side of the stream, Mr. Leggett, it won't have to be mass graded, frankly, because the elevation difference from Seven Hills to the high point and then back down to the creek is roughly 62 vertical feet. So it'll be a combination of probably cutting it and then filling around the perimeters. That frontage area along Seven Hills, we intend to leave natural. I think that I guess we could legally disturb it and then plant it back to buffer standards. Our current grading plan is to leave it completely natural. So there'll be a 50-foot swath, or whatever you want to use the term, all the way along the frontage that'll remain. Now, the back portion of the property, the intent is just to grade the ridge top and then spread it out for the lot. So it'll be much less of considered of a mass grade scenario. Keeping in mind that we're only going to be disturbing a maximum of 30 acres in total. So it will, that front area has to be mass graded just due to the topography. But the back part will be more of I'll call it an expanded road grade type thing, where we're gonna cut the ridge down, but just spread it out far enough for the lots to be padded. So
Now, are these gonna be individual residences, or they're gonna be like a building on 120 where it looks like
no, sir.
kinda like a Stalag or,
No, sir. It wouldn't be nothing like that.
okay.
These will be individual homes, probably very similar to, and I don't know this factual, but probably pretty similar to what Windsong built already in Seven Hills a few years back, what Four Stars intended to build, probably what Mr. Cochran's deal on the north side of Cedar Crest. It'll be a 55-year-old targeted single-family residential home, predominantly ranches, predominantly slabs, geared towards the baby boomers, because baby boomers are currently making about 36% of the purchases in Metro Atlanta, and because of all of the single-family homes in Bentwater and Seven Hills, they're following their grandkids or their kids, and that's just kind of how the market's drawing everybody to the area. It started in West Cobb, if you noticed on Mars Hill. There were several of those projects that went on that were very successful, and it's really just bled over the line. And now that Paulding County has an R55 zoning category, it's opened up an envelope where that product can be built here financially and effectively so that it can be delivered to the need.
Question. Thank you for every single point that we're all concerned about. You just hit it right on the head. But, and thank you for addressing the buffer.
Yes.
That is going to be undisturbed, meaning, literally meaning undisturbed.
That's right.
Like not disturbing it, right?
Except for where the interest goes in. 'Cause
Okay,
obviously we have to have
beautiful,
an interest.
beautiful. Do they plan on doing I know they have to have, as per the R55, they have to have a clubhouse.
Yes.
Are they going to have a pool?
Yes, they're gonna have a clubhouse and a pool.
Okay.
It should be shown, if it's not shown on the plan, it will be part of it. We're required to have, some type of an amenity anyway. 119 lots is almost like the teeter-totter of being able to financially support it. They think the price point of this community, though, will be affluent enough that it can support it. Typically, you really need about 150 to do an amenity like that and be able to fund it and it not be a financial burden on the people. They're also going to do a really, really nice entry feature where on both sides of the entry, we'll have water features that'll be like a creek that's going to be flowing around the monument. So they've got some really high intentions to mirror, frankly, what you see on Seven Hills. They're going to do the same fencing all along the front, obviously the same sidewalks, which is probably a requirement anyway. They're going to mirror it to where it looks just like it's another portion of Seven Hills, even though it's not physically going to be part of it, or I guess it won't be able to utilize their facilities. It'll be common in look and product.
What is the square footage?
The minimum square footage of the homes is 1,650. The average square footage, though, will be 2,000, and some of the ranches will actually extend into the 2,400 square foot range.
And the price point?
They're anticipating a price point to start in the high twos, but through offerings and as they built through this community, they expect it to be into the mid to high threes.
Does that square footage include the two-car garage?
No, that's just heated square footage, yeah. Two-car garage is completely separate, so they would be, footprints that would be in excess of 2 for everything, so.
So how many rooms?
How many rooms?
Yes.
Well, they'll all be a minimum 3-bedroom. They have a product that's 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. They have a product that's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, and they have one that's a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath. And they're gonna do a mixture through the community. Quite frankly, they'll probably build a model park and they'll see what the need is, and whatever they're buying is what they'll build the most of. In years past, they got a house plan called a Merriweather, and it's a 4, 3.5. And it's got 2 masters on the main and then one upstairs, because these are geared towards 55 and older. So like the grandkids come, it's got a bath upstairs, it's got 2 baths downstairs, and it's got a powder room right when you come in. It's a very, very efficient, nice home to walk into, and they've got 11 different facades they can put on the front so that you're walking into the same house, but you really don't know you're walking into the same house until you enter it. They all look different, so they've been very creative. Crofton Associates is their architect, and they've got a really good product scheme.
I noticed on the topo that we've got, that the streets that they've got run is showing future expansion to the property to the rear.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The current landowner wishes to keep that. His intentions is to do an estate subdivision. The topography back there is not very inviting, I'll use that term. And if Paulding County in the future creates a rural zoning category where you can do streets and have fencing along the streets and street trees and such as that, but not have to do all the curb and gutter and stormwater, that's his intention, but he's just gonna sit on it and wait till something comes along. If not, he's got it broken out right now into 3 15-acre parcels.
So,
But he won't do anything with that until this is fully developed, because he won't have access.
so if we had, say, a zoning with mandatory 2-acre lot, something like that?
He would-
That's
he
what
would
he's
be-
looking for
yeah,
in the
he would-
future?
He would love that opportunity, yes.
Okay,
That's the intent. That's what he'd like to do.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions to the applicant from the planning commission? Board of Commissioners, any questions? Mr. Stover?
Question would be, that zoning, just to make sure, it seemed like, can you hear me now? It seemed like we put a larger buffers on the outside property lines also.
I know along, Seven Hills, it's a 50-foot. I can't remember if it's all the way around the perimeter.
I would just look because I know we changed it. I just don't want to be messed up.
Yeah, I get
You
it.
know,
You're correct. It does require a 50-foot undisturbed buffer where adjacent to county roads and along the remaining perimeter of the property. And so it would include all around the property. The good news on this track, a lot of the rear and the northern piece is streams, which is natural buffer.
Yeah. It'll affect, a couple lots then on the north side and then some on the south, but I can shift the road systems over. If they were to have to lose a few lots, they can make the project work though. Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
too far down that road.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was set up.
Any other questions from the Board of Commissioners? Mr. Carmichael?
Yes, sir. On stipulation number 2, it talks about the divided median would be the responsibility of the developer to continue all the way down to Gulledge Road. But that's kind of part of my question. The other part probably goes to George. As far as with this number of homes, when would we need to widen Cedar Crest, which is, I know, on the planning of that whole Cedar Crest area?
Chairman, I think the way it's written, they're to provide the right-of-way to accommodate the future expansion. So that's their portion, just to basically allocate the property so we could fit a future divided median roadway through there. Regarding the timing of the road, that's going to be really dependent on when the growth in there actually occurs. So if it's, 5 years in the future, you're probably 5 years plus in terms of build, but if it gets closer than that, we can move up a schedule regarding engineering. We're looking at that right now, actually, in terms of probably getting plans designed so we can go as soon as the need is to actually widen the roadway. We're trying to get out in front of it. So obviously tying this section into, Gulledge Road on both ends. Right now, as you know, we're at the current intersection, the three-way of Gulledge and Seven Hills is it's a non-standard intersection, I'll just say that. We'd like to, put something out there that meets more of a speed design, has better sight distance, better vertical geometric, better horizontal. So basically trying to tie a boulevard section through here with, with Gulledge Road. So that is, like I said, we're in the works right now. I talked with staff about it last week about trying to, start some preliminary engineering and going forward.
George,
I read all the steps, but is there any requirement for the developer to contribute for transportation needs?
Yes, sir. Step number 3 is we asked the developer to provide a contribution of $650 per lot towards, off-site roadway improvements for that project.
Just a moment. You had a question for?
I had a question for George.
Director Jones.
George, with regards to the Seven Hills Boulevard, like I went to the HOA meeting, last week, and they're talking about it being 3,000 homes once everything is, built out or whatnot. And then he did talk about the widening of the road there and the roundabout. Do we have any dates on that? Because with this, coming in, again, that's gonna add an additional, and do we have a date on that, Jonathan, is when you expect the finished product to be?
Okay.
So,
Yeah, the first part, the project on Seven Hills going from the bridge up to Cedar Crest Road, that is ready to go. I just need to look over the bid documents. We're ready to advertise that. So sometime within the next 2 weeks, I would imagine that'll be advertised for 28 days, see how many people bid on it, see what the prices are for construction, let for construction at that point if we believe that the bids are reasonable.
So that's the bridge right after the amenities, correct?
Right.
So
yes.
that bridge moving forward to Cedar
Yeah,
Crest Road?
Pumpkin Vine to Cedar Crest, that section will be
Okay.
the first section. yes.
Okay. Okay, great. And then the roundabout?
That's part of that project.
Got you. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Can I answer her question?
Yes, I was gonna say Mr. Jones, and I didn't wanna confuse the two.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones. To reiterate, first off, that equates to about 1.3 acres of land donation. And then the 650 per lot, that combined total cost to developer is about $177,000. And then they're anticipating breaking ground and having the home building begin sometime in April of 2022. And they're anticipating a 3-year build out. So April of 2025, all 119 homes in theory would be built and sold, assuming the market doesn't transition or change between now and then. So that's the intent for the project.
Were there any other questions from the Board of Commissioners? Mr. Hofstadter, you have any questions to the applicant? Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on behalf of this application? Hearing none, is there anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to this application? May have questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, at this time, I will entertain a motion with regard to application 2021-14-Z. Please remember to specify the stipulations as they're numbered 1 through 8. I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve with the 8 stipulations.
I have a motion to approve from Mr. Ashton with the 8 listed stipulations. Do I have a second?
Second that.
I have a second from Ms. Seaver. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0 and 1. Mr. Robinson, is there anything further that I need to address before we adjourn?
We have no other action.
Well, in that case, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I have a motion to adjourn from Mr. Leggett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Fitzgerald. All in favor? 5-0 and 1. Thank you very much for your attendance and your attention. Have a good day.